Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the 2023 Player's Choice Godfest, which voting has just gone live in North America. So, Player's Choice Godfests tend to be exciting events because it gives us players the opportunity to vote for desirable cards to be featured in a special Godfest. Now, over the course of time, I feel like Godfest exclusives have definitely kind of lost their luster, so to speak, where more of the shift has been towards like collaborations, seasonal events, limited time machines, etc., where that tends to be where most of the value is. So Godfest exclusive have somewhat become trade fodder in order to be utilized to acquire those rare seasonal or collaboration cards. Now, of course, there are obviously many Godfest exclusives which are still valuable, but because of this fact, Gung Ho has been incredibly generous in giving us the chance to actually vote for limited time event cards, like say from Dragon, like Mystics and Specters, Dragonbound, Dragon Caller, Sacred Relic, and one more, which I'll get to shortly. Point of the matter is, there is the chance we can roll potentially high rarity event cards alongside Godfest exclusives and a bunch of Pantheons as well. And if the rolling rates are favorable, this could be a spectacularly lucrative event to actually roll in, because when you think about it, in like say Mystics and Specters, you want those top rarity cards, but the problem is it is thrown into a machine alongside a bunch of junk. Like lots of junk. Like lots and lots of junk. So it's very painful trying to get yourself that Sena, for instance. But if you can vote for them here, you can roll them here, and the misses may be less painful than getting like your umpteenth like bottom rarity card. So with that being said, I want to take a little bit of a closer look at possible voting options that you may want to actually potentially explore or utilize. So, as a disclaimer, you should obviously vote for what is most valuable for yourself. Just because I think a card is particularly great, it's possible that my perspective is obviously skewed because I have, you know, a much deeper monster box. Lots of things I already own, possibly multiple copies of, so I'm less excited over certain cards potentially. And then with that being said, it's a good transition into the Pantheon cards, because in all honesty, Pantheon cards have pretty much been non-existent, I feel. Like, I just don't really use Pantheon cards pretty much anymore. Like, their weapon assists are oftentimes more on the underwhelming side, and at this point in time, what I usually use Pantheon cards for is monster exchanging them for their dragon forms. So like Amaterasu Dragon, Leyland Pheasant, Karen Dragon. These are the big kind of like notable cards potentially, and there's Antares, there's Gilgamesh, like there's a bunch essentially. So if you don't have many of those cards, like you love Karen Dragon, they are a great card to own, but you only have like one Karen, maybe in your best bet to get another Karen voted in so you can actually exchange for more Karen Dragons when it does come around again. You kind of have to look into your monster box and see, like, what am I missing? Do I have enough Amaterasus for Amaterasu Dragons? Do I have Antares to get that system for Antares system? Like, you get the kind of idea. They've definitely lost a bunch of their luster. I have not found myself using Pantheon cards in a terribly long time. For the 6-star base Godfest exclusives, I feel like, again, this is kind of a trend for myself at least. I don't really utilize 6-star Godfest exclusives much anymore, along with the fact that many of them are incredibly old, so I just happen to own all of them already. And the only newer ones technically are these dual wield series such as Camilla and her other friends. So I just try to pull up a bunch because we can't actually look in game for the information about the cards, so I pulled them up through Subaki Bot on Discord in order to actually take a look at cards. So why is Camilla a desirable card? She is desirable because she has 4 dungeon bonus awakenings, and in this day and age, farming low difficulty content for certain drops over and over again where you want to actually physically button your way through is much more pleasant, because she has 4 dungeon bonus awakenings, which is, I think, the most we can actually have on a single given card. And she also has a button built into her active skill, along with 4 skill boosts. So this is obviously her buffed form, but it's going to happen soon enough. And point of the matter is, it's a powerful Godfest exclusive just for this niche, so to speak, farming aspect. But kind of at this point, that's kind of what I really do. And then like her other friends, like Lawrence, etc., like they do have pretty strong or interesting weapon assists at least. I just kind of pulled them up just to give you an idea of like what they do potentially offer. Like, I think Camilla is definitely the biggest standout. I guess A10, you can make some arguments about A10 being useful because A10 has so many different forms, and he does have some interesting weapon assists. Conraf does have both tape and cloud resist baked into their weapon assist, which again could be potentially useful. And like just more so like because these are newer cards, their weapon assists tend to be a little bit ahead of the curve, so to speak. And if you look on Tsubaki Bot, they is showing like the JP buffed versions. We'll get those soon enough, but again, I can't search this information up in game, so you know I'm gonna do my best to make do of what I have. And then for the 7-star Godfest exclusives, I think they are much more exciting by comparison, and there are many of them that I think have potentially solid use at this point in time. Now, of course, what you don't own is probably going to be the most valuable one for yourself, because getting your first copy of an individual card can potentially open up many doors for yourself. So for these 7-star Godfest exclusives, I'm a huge fan of Flamey and Bubbly, as well as Shiny and Batty, because with those cards there, they have, well, they can be potentially utilized as cards for like subs, leaders, but their main value is spectacular weapon assists. And generally speaking, when it comes to power creep, weapon assists tend to get power crept the slowest. It's just the kind of the way it is. Leaders get cycled up quite quickly, subs modest pace, weapon assists can oftentimes persist for prolonged periods of time. And if you think about it, all of Flamey and Bubbly's weapon assists, they give you a whole bunch of OEs, they give you skill boost, they give you VDP, they give the sub attribute changing, which is invaluable because there are many cards who hit super hard in their main attribute, but they have the wrong color sub attribute. And on top of that, they also give 3 turns of haste. And the same applies for the green form as well, just change the color. And with Shiny and Batty, instead of VDP, they have TPAs baked into their awakening. So 6 OEs, skill boost, 2 TPAs, 3 turns of haste. These are strong, powerful weapon assists that can do lots for you overall. Next is Granerv, and Granerv is, when paired with Kurotobi, which is one of the event cards you can vote for, wink wink, Granerv is spectacularly strong overall. They are one of the best leader pairings for Kurotobi. They are the best leader pairing, I should say, because they have immense bulk, they have an active skill that you need because it's absorption solution, they have large damage output. When you use their active skill, they can hit 16 billion damage from one card, which is truly outrageous. They function well in super gravity dungeons. They're just a spectacular card all around. And if you don't have a Granerv, well, maybe you should vote for him. It may make a big difference in your life. Another 7-star that I feel like still deserves mentioning is Saline, mostly because she was the original 1.8 times rank experience leader. Of course, we now have many more options, so it's way less zesty than it used to be. But on the flip side, if you don't need her as a leader for rank experience, you can utilize her as a potential swipe farming leader, because it's a full board of light orbs with skill charge, and then after that it changes into a 6-turn cooldown, which is a straight board of light orbs. And then she can have 3 blob awakenings to do stupendously large amounts of damage. And her leader skill is no Skyfall. So for swipe farming, she may be an actual great option for yourself as well. Point of the matter is, Saline, I think, still has value despite being so old. And then she does have a weapon assist, which is a dungeon bonus awakening, and another weapon assist, which is a dungeon bonus awakening with a full board and 3 turns of haste. So yes, dungeon bonus awakenings are still kind of rare when it comes to weapon assists, but it's not terrible. I don't think it's necessarily worth a vote at this point in time, but I'm just kind of mentioning cards that tend to have a bit more value. Fasca is another card that has value at this point in time because her active skill is a transforming active skill that gives you 30 turn cooldown, where you swap your leader, swap one of your subs into the leader position, which allows you to do rank EXP farming. Because what people would do is they would enter with a dungeon with, say, Saline, who gives you rank experience bonus, and then leader swap someone else into position that is more valuable. Basically, Saline doesn't really have a leader skill, so to speak, in this day and age, but swapping her out and someone else in makes it so you can potentially get significantly more rank experience, and that's how many players have pushed their rank up to super high amounts. Fasca facilitates that because you don't need to use you can use transforming cards like Sea Wolf and Daytona. They can be swapped into position because they wouldn't be able to use an inherit that does leader swapping. So Fasca facilitates this, which in turn makes her valuable. And then after that active skill is utilized, it transforms into a full cleric with RCV buffing. So there's no real downsides to Fasca overall, I'd say. Like, it is a valuable Godfest exclusive to have for the role it provides. Siren and Lilith is a card I don't have, so obviously that may be kind of making me a bit more biased, kind of like Flamey and Bubbly. I don't have them, so I think they're a bit more exciting potentially because I don't have it. But their weapon assist is quite powerful because in this day and age, Team HP is kind of the meta, so to speak. It's kind of like bring Team HP or fail. So you basically need to have almost minimum 2 Team HPs per weapon assist for most endgame content, it feels like. You just need so much HP. And she brings the Team HP, she brings 2 enhanced water orbs, 1 enhanced hard orb, a skill boost, and then 2 turns of haste. So it's a weapon assist that provides bulk, a bit of passive damage, a bit of passive healing, and a valuable active skill to get yourself transformed. Weapon assist may not feel the flashiest overall compared to like the newest leader, but when you start using this weapon assist or a weapon assist for months on end, you kind of realize, wow, this is valuable. That sort of idea. And then Kiori has gained, I feel like, more value at this point in time because of Shanna from the current collaboration being run. Because Shanna can build an incredibly powerful team. You need looping shields. Like I said, Team HP is kind of the way to go. Oftentimes you don't have enough HP, so you utilize looping shields to compensate. And Kiori is a looping shield. 7-turn cooldown for 8 turns of damage reduction, and then a bit of movement time on 1 turn. Along with 4 enhanced fire combos and significant personal damage, as well as a super poison resist. So he is definitely a valuable card to have on your Shanna team. So keep that in mind. If you have Shannas and you don't have a good looping shield, Kiori might be someone of value for you. Silk and Cameo, they have mostly just nice weapon assists. They are a newer 7-star, so again, it's possibly someone you don't actually own, which in turn makes them a bit more interesting. Their other weapon assists can be quite zesty. They have a Team HP, they have a bunch of OEs, they have a 7 combo, they have an L, and a sub-attribute changing. And that applies to all their different forms. And their active skill is actually a 3-turn delay as well. So it's giving you a bit of bulk, gives you an L, which is never a bad thing, gives you a 7 combo, gives you the sub-attribute, so that sub-attribute does meaningful damage, and it's a 3-turn delay. Fun fact, as I guess an applicable usage, I've been utilizing Silk's companion or Silk's weapon assist here to give the red sub-attribute to Kiori. So now Kiori's sub-attribute can deal double damage cap, especially in non-super gravity dungeons. And it also gives bulk, a bunch of OEs, and a delay. So a delay is nice to have, and it can be useful because even though Shanna does bring a delay with their active skill upon transformation, you may not have the 25 skill boost right away. You can get Silk's with 12, Kiori's 7, 19. Get to only 19 skill boosts, you can utilize this delay and then stall it out, potentially transform your Shannas, and then you start going. I think, again, like I said, weapon assists tend to have nice long-term value. And speaking of weapon assists with nice value, I think Jiria, who has a zillion different evolutions. Are they the card with the most different evolutions? I'm not sure. But all of their frogs, I think, are quite powerful. They give a sub-attribute, they give a Team HP, and various other zest. So the dark one has God Killer and Cross. Their light form has Combo Orb, 3 Light Rose, Devil Killer. Like, these are useful weapon assists for their respective monocolored teams because they give at least a bit of bulk with 1 Team HP and potentially other useful awakenings. And the blue frog in particular has quite a unique active skill. It doesn't give that Team HP, but it gives you a full board of water orbs and then reduces all damage taken by 100% while also cutting your health to 1. So obviously it can be a little risky going to 1 health, but if you have 1 turn of 100% damage reduction, you don't truly care. Maybe it's something of value. Point is, these frogs are quite nice, and I wish I had more Jirias just to make every frog in every single color because it's just nice to have options at this point in time. And then we come to the 8-star cards. So these are just kind of the 7-star cards that I feel were a bit more standout, so to speak. Again, your mileage may vary. For the 8-star voting, we have 6 possible things we can vote for, but Alexander and Raffine, they can be acquired through monster exchanging through that medal. That medal will probably be given out again at some point in time, so you can actually acquire them. Even though Alexander's weapon assist is quite valuable and I use it quite often, I'd rather get someone new. So, Seawolf and Daytona and Royal Oak and Nautilus, those 2 cards here are some of the best leaders in the game. So, you know, if you don't have a great leader, it's definitely a wonderful option. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look at those respective cards. So, for Tona, both of them have multi-step transformations, so they need to transform again, and then they're in their final form. And they have to have a team of different rarities. So the biggest hurdle is when they're transforming, their rarity changes. They start at 8, go to 9, finish at 10. So if you don't fully transform immediately and you have a 9-star sub somewhere on your team, you're just going to lose and die, assuming you get hit. You could have delayed the spawn, then you're safe. But point of the matter is, there is definitely a bit of a risk involved in these leaders if you don't transform fully if you want to run 9-star subs, because they are 10-star in their final form. But once you do reach their final forms, they have immense effective health. They have a 2-turn cooldown for their active skill that generates orbs, gives them auto healing, and they have unbelievably high personal damage, along with the fact that their damage cap does increase, and they can actually hit the damage cap numbers, because look at Royal Oak and Nautilus. 4 10 combos, 3 Ls. Each L is 2.2 times damage. I can't do math, but this is a stupendously high amount of personal damage. Tona, triple 10 combo, 6 TPAs. Again, stupendously high amounts of personal damage when they match their respective patterns. So the leaders basically come with orb generation to solve your needs, the healing to not die. They also have all the damage you need to a certain extent for an entire team. It's kind of a weird thing. When they first came out, you were basically playing a team of just them doing damage. Just your leaders did damage. All the subs were basically cheerleaders, and it still didn't matter, because with 6 billion times 3 or 8 billion times 4, they're out damaging entire teams on their own. So yeah, they're great cards all around. For Corone and Cano, they are new, so there's a high chance that they're probably the least owned card from this pool, so to speak, because at least the Remdraw trio is a little newer, well, a little older by comparison, but new is obviously valuable. They can be, I feel like, potentially a strong leader, because their leader skill does get fulfilled by their active skill, but I don't own one, so it's hard for me to know exactly how great they are. But again, they do have weapon assists that are quite valuable, like 2 skill boost, double team HP, 6 wood OEs. Wood teams love it. They also give 2 turns of haste. These are valuable weapon assists. So, I don't think I would probably utilize them as a leader. They would be fun to play with, I feel, just because of the aesthetic matching of perfect 10 combo boards every time. But point is, they have potentially strong weapon assists hiding there. So, Cano and Kuron could be potentially useful in those regards. And then lastly, with the Remdraw trio, they are potentially a strong leader as well for rainbow-based teams, assuming you can transform them fully, which again, it's a multi-step transforming, so be aware of that. Once they transform, they have almost a looping active skill for dual leaders, because they have a 3-turn cooldown, so you just need to find a way to actually have 5 or more colors all the time. So you need some other orb generator to kind of close this gap, so to speak. But if you do, 25 times effective health, comically high attack multiplier, and RCV multiplier that equals their health multiplier, which makes your life easier overall, because you don't have to worry about healing, because you're going to heal relatively proportional to your health for the most part. But they also have interesting weapon assists as well. Like I said, well, 2-7 combos would have been crazy years ago, but now not so much. Rainbow teams, double team HP, 5 attribute, 3 turns of haste. No real downside, but they are arguably the best rainbow leader as well. They have 2 skill boosts here with haste. This one has wood sub attribute and triple team HP. Wood based teams rejoice, because that's obviously quite lovely. So for the 8 stars, all of them have value, just don't vote for Raffine and Alexander. And then for Dragonbound Dragoncaller, it's really Kurotobi. It should be just Kurotobi and friends, so to speak, because Kurotobi is arguably one of the best leaders in the game when paired with Granerv. So why does that work? So after they transform, they are able to have unbelievably high personal damage with 4-10 combos, double TPA, and their active skill is a 2-turn cooldown that gives them damage cap increase to 6 billion, so 6 times 3 potentially. Board unlock creates 4 water, dark, and heart orbs. And then their leader skill wants to match exactly sets of 4 water, dark, and hearts. Their active skill gives you that. So they solve so many issues. And if you have 2 Kurotobis, or you have 1 Kurotobi and a Granerve, pair of a friend's Kurotobi, you have a team that has immense damage output, orb generation needs always solved, absorption cancellation dealt with, you have bulk, you have follow-up attack, you have huge combo count bonuses. They're just some of the craziest leaders all around when you truly think about it. So Kurotobi is definitely something that possibly should be voted for in, and the fact that they are a background music card means they're just rare to roll as well. So having a Kurotobi will open up so many doors for you, and it's amazing how both Kurotobi and Granerve are featured in here. In terms of other Dragonbound Dragon Caller cards, I kind of looked at Suo. He is a looping shield who does have bulk if you play with VDP style teams. I'm like trying to think of how good it could be potentially. It is at least a looping shield. It has a weapon assist that has a unique set of awakenings in terms of bind resist, cross, team HP, team RCV, movement time. It's a nice utility style weapon assist. Their other form does give damage reduction with a more traditional 7 combo output. They can be a looping shield solution, but I feel like another vote that probably be better is Valeria. Valeria has so many skill boosts. She gets more skill boosts every time, and it's hard to keep track, but she has 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, potentially 11 skill boosts in her base form. Actually outrageous. Just being the best at something is good in some way. And then her weapon assist, I've actually started using that form, to be honest. Her weapon assist, at the time, this is maybe a month or 2 ago, I'm not quite sure if it's changed, but it was the only weapon assist with bind immunity, skill boost, and 2 team HPs. And as I mentioned beforehand, team HP is kind of the big important thing in this game at this point in time. So putting this on bind vulnerable leaders or cards who do transform, you don't care about the active skill tied to this card, is valuable. You get the bulk, you get the skill boost, you get the bind immunity. Valeria definitely can be useful. Again, the fact that they are many skill boosts in itself could be potentially useful. And then we come to Sacred Relic. And Sacred Relic, I don't know, I feel like Sacred Relic is not as great overall. The only card I really find myself using is Polone, which is not a top rarity card. And before you go out and try and lynch me for saying you're voting for a card who's not top rarity, well, it's possible that she's one of the best cards that is available because it's 2 turns of haste and a 2-turn cooldown, so 4 effective skill boosts. And when they transform, they have triple team HP, which is something we've established is good. They have 2 L's, so they can put back your assists quickly. And then they have 2 turns of damage and attribute absorption cancellation and full cleric as well at the same time. In terms of utility, it's one of the most utility-heavy cards out there. When Sacred Relic first came out, I highly encourage players to just roll for this particular card because it is used far more than all the other cards put together, at least from my own personal experience. I've used Polone more than anyone else in this whole event, I'd say. They do exist, but I just don't use them because Polone is just so good at what she actually does. Sandra is a newer card from this event here as well, and sure, she does have potential great potential for rainbow based teams. She does the damage penetration as well. Just need to make sure you have other ways to work around it. Again, it's kind of newer, kind of struggling to think of what other card I would really want to vote for. I already have Polone, so I don't need to, so I'm just going to simply vote for cards I don't have. Grigory has gained some notoriety in his blue form because in his blue form, he does have potentially 6 skill boosts. He has a large HP stat, and his active skill is a 6-turn looping shield. So it's definitely an alternative to Sekka or what's their face? Sekka or Blue A10. Grigory can be an alternative. He does have the most HP of all of them. He also has the highest skill boost of all of them. He does the worst healing potential of all of them, if that's relevant to you. But bigger bulk can definitely be meaningful. He doesn't come with the same utility that Sekka does because Sekka does provide movement time and RCV buffing in conjunction with their looping shield, which does give them more utility. But Grigory is fatter health, the highest damage as well if you choose the 4-10 combo route, and then 2 enhanced water combos. So Grigory definitely can be utilized if you don't have A10, which is potentially something you voted for anyways in 6-star cards, or you don't have Sekka from a different event. And now we come to Mystics and Specters. And Mystics and Specters, I feel like, is a event that is strong. It's very top heavy. It is terribly painful to roll in because there's so much potential junk, mostly because, well, it's not its own specific event. It's of an event alongside of a regular raring machine, so there's lots of junk you can get. And Sena has been kind of the poster child of this event for such a long time. They are an easy-to-use leader. They have a systemable active skill of 2 copies, so a friend plus your own. You can make your own team. But lately, I've started utilizing them in other forms because I've started, well, Sandra came along, and Sandra is just better than Sena, I feel, overall. But I started utilizing Sena in their other forms because their blue form is a 15 million button fixed button damage to all enemies. It's great for button farming. You need to do button farming sometimes. It's great to have. It's no animation as well, so it's the fastest type of button you can have, which is great. Her weapon assists are also pretty cracked overall. Their regular weapon assist has a dragon killer, which is great because so many things are dragons, a skill boost, 4 enhanced fire orbs, and 2 team HPs. Even just skill boost 2 team HPs is kind of like a baseline for the start of a good weapon assist. You throw in OEs and a killer, it's a fantastic weapon assist. The active skill doesn't really help you too much overall unless you needed like a universal buffer to buff attack, recovery, and movement time. But the awakenings are zesty. And then their other weapon assist is, again, one of the absolute best at what it does. It provides tape resist, blind resist, a devil killer, enhanced tacos, and full bind immunity. No team HP, of course, but bringing lots of valuable resist, damage through the devil killer is valuable. So Sena has many strong forms, and it's never a bad thing to have at least a couple of copies of because you probably want all of these different weapon assists, and you can't actually swap this weapon assist around because it's a special story quest limited availability material. For Yukine, Yukine is buffed in Japan, so these awakenings look much nicer with 5-10 combos. You'll definitely do much better damage with 5-10 combos compared to before, but even without their damage buff, they have full cloud, full tape resist. They also have an active skill on a 3-turn cooldown that gives you damage penetration as well as a spinner. And that spinner can be utilized with the 2x orb movement time to fish out the perfect board for yourself. It also pierces through. She does respectable damage now. She'll do better damage in the future. It's a strong sub option for your Granner of Kurotobi teams. But if you don't have anywhere to utilize her in this mono water form, her weapon assist is actually pretty great. It's skill boost and 3 team HPs. Not many weapon assists have that combination. And then it's an active skill, it gives you 3 turns of delay. Assuming you can delay a given floor, this is one of the absolute best weapon assists because it provides immense bulk, skill boost, and delay. 4 effective skill boosts essentially. Ryume can be potentially a card that has a system style active skill with a 3-turn cooldown. It could probably clear content, but in all honesty, their red form is where all their value rests at this point in time, because they have 4 or 5 team HP awakenings or 2 to 4 skill boosts. They're active, so like I said, having bulk is what you want in this point in time. They have also a large health stat, which again helps with that bulk overall. Their active skill is going to give you 1 turn of damage and attribute absorption cancellation, so it's something you need to have. Every single dungeon at this point in time will probably have some sort of mechanic that does absorbing, and you can't pass it unless you bring these active skills. So you need to bring these types of active skills into a given dungeon. And Ryume gives you that huge bulk, and with only a 3-turn cooldown, and the fact that they're not transforming means you can inherit an active skill on top of them that gives you value for whatever you need to achieve. Whether it's like delay, haste, maybe more longer lasting absorption, penetration, whatever you need at the start of the dungeon, Ryume can inherit it and utilize it effectively. This is the one card I didn't pull in Mystics and Specters, so I'm definitely voting for Ryume. That's my own personal bias there. For Mikage, Mikage is another incredibly powerful leader, but the problem with them is it requires lots of brain power and effort to actually play. You get baked in movement time into their leader's skill. They have huge personal damage It's all damage. There's literally nothing about them. It's just damage. All they have, all their awakenings are damage. So no skill bind resist. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind when you have 2 Mikages. But their active skill is now just a 3-turn cooldown that gives you 1 spinner for 3 turns. And because it also makes a row of dark and locks dark orbs, and their leader skill gives you movement time. So dual Mikages give minimum 12 plus 5 base, 17 seconds of movement time. You can play with that spinner and always, in theory, fish out 3 dark combos. If you make 3 dark combos, you kill stuff and don't die. If you don't make 3 dark combos, you die. High risk, high reward. Can, in theory, clear stuff, but it requires lots more brain power. On the bright side, they do actually have strong weapon assists. Same with Ryume as well. They all have quite powerful weapon assists with skill boost, team HP, some killers, OEs, and in this case here, a delay plus cleric. And then the last card I want to draw attention to for Mystics and Specters is Mukosu. I may pronounce that wrong, but this gigantic skeleton man has been buffed to only require turn 3 or floor 3 to transform. You have to use it on floor 3 or later. Right now it's floor 5 or later. So this buff will come and it will make him one of the best farming leaders for endgame content because they have immense personal damage when you make an L especially. They have their damage cap increased. They have potentially 15 billion damage output there. They get 3 times attack every other turn because, well, it's a 2-turn cooldown. And then it creates exactly 5 fire, dark, heal, and poison orbs. Because their leader skill requires you to match fire, dark, and poison orbs. So having those hard orbs means you can actually heal back up after you hurt yourself. Luckily, they have way more RCV compared to healing in terms of their leader skill. But it's still a 25 times leader skill. So the idea is you have a leader that's going to hit super hard with guaranteed activation. It's a powerful leader overall. You can stack cards with L's onto your team because you make those 5 orbs, and you can have immense damage outcome overall. Again, Mystics and Specters is a painful event to roll in, so voting for them and rolling them here may be quite valuable overall. And then lastly for the artists, I'm not super gung-ho about these artists overall. Like, yes, they do have leaders with scaling multipliers, but I feel like we have just better options overall. Like, Ateli can still be a great leader for playing. You need to find ways to get 7x6 because you have to swap them in manually. But the problem is, effective health is only 16 times. I know, saying 16 times effective health is too low sounds outrageous, but it's actually the truth. You can't really play a lot of the higher quest dungeons if you don't have more than 16 times effective health, or you're running a big looping shield and stacking team HPs to the absolute max. So the artists, I would just honestly vote for the higher rarity ones that you don't currently own. Prim does have, I feel, a strong weapon assist, because it provides you with double team HP, which I said was great, bind immunity, and double L's, along with 4 turns of piercing through damage void. It's a long piercing active skill, so it in turn is kind of rare, which in turn makes it a bit more valuable. For Kaishu, I do have one. I haven't really used it much, to be honest. Like, I'm using it as the weapon assist because team HP twice, you can't see anything I'm talking about, I realize. But with Prim, like I said, bulk, double L's, bind immunity. With Kaishu, you have double team HP, you have 2 TPAs, and full bind resist. Again, useful weapon assist for any TPA-oriented team. And then, because I did talk about Ateli and didn't look, like I said, the big issue is not enough effective health. And the last artist card I think that's notable is Eliezer, and they are another transforming style card. They have potentially a strong leader when you match exactly 2 light combos. So if you have a way to generate light combos regularly, it can be potentially strong because nice multipliers overall. Large personal damage in super gravity, but I don't have one. Their leader skill is not enough bulk, so I'm not quite sure how great it would perform. Their weapon assist on the flip side is absolutely wild. You have 2 negative skill boosts, but you also have full jammer, poison, and cloud resist. So a myriad of resists at the cost of 2 skill boosts. it can definitely be worthwhile. Again, like I said, most cards I feel get pushed into weapon assist forms at this point in time. So, basically to summarize, Player's Choice Godfest can be an exciting event, but I feel like it's best to vote for the cards that truly benefit you the most, which is oftentimes the ones you don't actually have. Pantheon cards, mostly I feel like, come down to actually having them for their respective dragons. I feel like 6 stars, A10 is kind of cool. Camilla is really just the big standout. I'm not super hyped for 6 stars. 7 stars, basically, if you don't have it, it's possibly a good thing to vote for. And lots of the new ones tend to be quite strong. Many of them have valuable weapon assists. 8 stars, Tona, Royal Oak. They are amazing leaders. Corone has cool weapon assists. Remdraw Trio also has cool weapon assists. Many options overall there. And then Dragonbound Dragoncaller, vote for Kurotobi if you don't have it. It's just the best leader, I feel like, to a certain extent. Valyria is, I think, a next great second vote because it's never bad to have Valyria. Sacred Relic, Polonais is the only card I really truly utilize kind of regularly at this point in time. The other cards, they exist, but then again, my bias is partially because I don't have Patty or Ryume, so that's maybe why I use her so much more. Mystic and Specters, all of the top rarity cards are great, but Sena and Ryume, and Sena has universally great weapon assist. Ryume is universally great for their absorption. Yukine has amazing weapon assist universally and a powerful mono water form. Mikage is a leader that takes brain power to use, and this gigantic skeleton man will become significantly easier to play with in the future. Artists, I feel like just vote for the top rarity ones. They're rare enough as is. Maybe you get them. Cool. So, yeah, with that being said, let me know what you think about the Super Player's Choice Godfest in the comment section down below. Do you think it's actually worth... Well, we don't know if it's worth rolling in because we don't know the lineup, we don't know the rolling rate, but there's that chance it could be lucrative. And if it is lucrative, I do intend to roll in it because there are many of these event cards I don't own, along with many of these 7 stars and 8 stars I don't own. So it'd be nice if I could actually pick them up. Now, with that being said, let me know what you, lovely ladies and gentlemen, are plan to vote for in the comment section down below. And with that being said, I wish you the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.